You are a mechanic in Nigeria. Your day. You don't wake up to the sound of a phone alarm. You wake up to your neighbor's rooster and the low, growing hum of Legos pressing against the rusty iron sheet that serves as your bedroom wall. On the other side of the thin partition, your wife, Ada, is already moving around, fanning the coals to life for the morning pap, porridge. You open your eyes, and the first thing you see isn't the sky. It's the stack of tires piled by the doorway. Michelin, Bridgestone. Some are bald as a knee. Some have bulging hernias. This is your morning landscape. You are a mechanic in Nigeria, and your day doesn't start with coffee. It starts with prayer. 7:30 a.m. Prayer and the go slow. You step out of your home. 2 rooms made of concrete blocks, topped with corrugated zinc. You pull on an old Manchester United jersey that hasn't been read in years. It's now a permanent shade of gray, stained with oil and grease. Your workshop isn't a bay with hydraulic lifts like in American movies. It's just a patch of earth under a tin canopy on the side of a busy expressway in Ikeja. You greet your neighbors, the boys who sell used phones, and the woman hawking coconuts. Without them, your day doesn't start. You all share sweet, milky tea together while the Danfo buses roar past, kicking up orange dust that settles on everything. 8 a.m., the first customer. You haven't even finished laying out your tools, an adjustable spanner you bought 5 years ago, a hammer, a tire iron, and a rusty jack when the first customer rolls in. It's not a Lexus or a new Camry. It's a beat-up Toyota Corolla, probably a '99 model, the one they call Carina here. "Brother," the driver says, slamming a door that's held on by hope and rust. "The car is shaking like someone with malaria fever. What do I do?" You don't plug a laptop into a diagnostic port. You don't have a scanner. Your main tools are your ears and your years of experience. You ask him to start the engine. You listen to it cough and splutter. You watch the color of the smoke from the exhaust. "Spark plugs," you say, even though you suspect it might be the fuel pump or the wiring, which has already been twisted together with blue electrical tape so many times it looks like a snake's nest. 10 a.m. The dance with the Toyota. Nigeria is the land of the fairly used car. Cars that were sent to the scrapyard in Europe years ago are shipped here. They drive on our roads where the potholes are deeper than the rivers in rainy season. Being a mechanic here means being half surgeon, half magician. Jacking up a car with a simple bottle jack on this dusty, uneven ground is dangerous. It can slip at any moment. You tell your apprentice, a 15-year-old boy named Chidi who is learning the trade, to stuff old tires under the sill. If the car falls, it falls on rubber, not on you. You slide under the chassis. The heat is pushing 40 degrees Celsius, and from above, sand and hot oil rain down on you. You unscrew the plugs, your calloused fingers feeling every thread. One plug is fouled, another is caked in black carbon. You crawl out from under the car, drenched. Sweat and grime mix and run down your face. "You need new ones," you say. "How much?" The customer frowns. 15,000 naira. You know it's marked up, but the price includes your risk, your skill, and the fact that you now have to brave the traffic to go and buy them. 1 p.m., the Tokunbo market. You hop on an Okada and head to the famous Ladipo spare parts market. There are no display cabinets or shiny boxes here. Parts are piled on the ground or hanging on nails. This is the world of Tokunbo, used parts imported from Europe and America. Buy a new part from a shop? You must be joking. It's far too expensive for 90% of drivers. Here, contract parts rule. Parts stripped from scrap cars. You're looking for plugs. The seller, sitting on an empty beer crate, hands you an old NGK box. You inspect the plug in your hand. You smell it. If it smells of petrol, it's probably working. You check the electrode gap. It's a whole science, not buying a fake or a completely dead part. You haggle for 10 minutes. 500 naira, about 30 cents, can decide if your family eats well tonight or not. 4 p.m. The main problem, the sponsor. You get back to the workshop, plugs in hand. But this isn't your workshop. The land you work on belongs to an Oga, the landlord. Here they call him the sponsor. You aren't a free mechanic. You work under someone. Every day you have to give the Oga a cut of your earnings just for the privilege of working on his patch of dirt. What if you didn't earn anything today? It doesn't matter. You owe the Oga. They call it paying your dues. If you don't pay, tomorrow there will be another mechanic standing in your spot. The line of men wanting this patch of earth is long. You fit the plugs. You start the engine. The car runs smoothly. The customer nods happily. Brother, I only have money for the plugs. I will pay for your work tomorrow, okay? You sigh. He's a regular. If you say no, he'll go to another mechanic. The words POS machine or card payment don't exist here. Everything is on trust, on credit. You nod. Behind you, you can feel the Oga's eyes boring into your back. 6:30 p.m. The Tokunbo with secrets. A mummy market pulls up, a woman who sells goods at the market. She drives an old Volkswagen Golf, the ones they call salad here because of its shape. It's smoking so badly it could kill flies. My son, she says, the engine is coughing like an old goat. You open the hood. Under the hood is Africa in miniature. Wires wrapped in black electrical tape, hoses patched with duct tape, and instead of a proper valve cover, there's a Gino tomato paste tin wired on with coat hanger. You know the problem is serious, but mommy has no money for a major repair. You just need to make the car reach her house. You tighten the wires, clean the carburetor with a stick, find a cracked hose and wrap it tightly with blue electrical tape, the tape they call Nigerian repair. Go, mama, you say, but come back tomorrow. The radiator needs welding. She gives you 1,000 naira, less than $1, and 2 ripe mangoes. You take both. You'll give the mangoes to Ada for the children. 7:30 p.m. Sunset and the count. The sun sets fast here, no long twilight. You switch on a single bulb hanging from a wire and count the day's earnings. Small coins, dirty, crumpled notes. You divide it into 3 piles. One for the Oga, for the land. One to save for new tools. The old adjustable spanner is about to break. And one for the family. Hey, mechanic, a late driver shouts from the road. My battery is dead. Give me a jump. You nod. This is part of the job. The jump start is often free, but maybe tomorrow this driver will come to you to fix his brakes. 9 p.m. Home. You walk home. The air is thick with the sound of generators humming. The power is out again. NEPA has taken light, as they say here. Neighbors are frying plantains on charcoal. The air smells of smoky suya meat and diesel fumes. Ada is waiting for you with dinner. You wash your hands in the yard, pouring water from a plastic bottle. The kids ask for bread and Milo, chocolate drink. You give them the small change you saved just for them. You sit on the porch and look at the stars. Tomorrow will be the same. Dust, heat, broken Toyotas, haggling with customers, the endless search for decent spare parts. But this is your life. You are a mechanic in Nigeria, and tomorrow morning the rooster will crow again, the buses will roar, and you will pick up your old adjustable spanner. You will give another car a second chance at life, because here in Nigeria, cars don't die. They are fixed by men like you.